Welcome to Brain Info Live, for everyone in the brain health community. Brain Info Live is about hope, health, support, education, and you. Whether you're living with Alzheimer's or a caregiver, family member, or loved one of someone who is, Brain Info Live is here for everybody.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's Happy Hump Day. My name is Barbara Chandler, and I am proudly able to say that I am the host of Brain Info Live in Florida. And this is our 15th episode. It has been a full year of informative conversations with some of the leading industry professionals when it comes to Alzheimer's and dementia. And as usual, we always say we are actually live. So if you are watching, if you're joining us, we thank you so very much. And do we have a fantastic show for you today? We're going to be talking about the holidays. And for those of you who don't know, I am a holiday buff. I'm all about the lights and I'm all about the decorations, but mostly important, I'm all about family. It's a great time for families to come together. And those of us caregivers who are caring for those who are living with Alzheimer's and dementia, caring for family members, around friends of people who may also be living with Alzheimer's and dementia, it is important that our caregivers are having a great holiday as well. So today we're going to be talking about caregivers during the holidays, especially when it's a stressful time for them, and how we can come up with strategies and practices to get through the holidays so that caregivers are able to enjoy those. Okay, so as usual, you know the routine. For those of you who've been with us for the entire year, we're going to start off with our fitness guru out of Atlanta, Jay Rue. We're going to show you a few clips on caregivers during the holiday. We call that our movie time. And then we have a returning guest, Eileen Poiley. Eileen was here the same time last year. We were speaking about how to keep persons, family members living with Alzheimer's and dementia, how to keep them calm during the holidays. So she is back today with us. And of course, it's going to be all about the caregivers today because we know how special caregivers are. So with no further ado, we welcome our fitness guru, Jay Lou out of Atlanta.
Hey, I'm Jay Lou, your fitness guru. I want to welcome you to Brain Info Live. Today, if you have an old shoebox, if you have a box, anything around the house that's this shape, today we're going to use it to sculpt that lower body. So in 5 seconds, we're about to get started. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's go. Okay, sit up straight and we're going to start tapping. You ready? Just stay with me. You ready? And let's go. Let's go. 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Now we're going to cross over and come back. Here we go. Let's go. All right, let's switch. 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, turn your box, put your feet behind it, and forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's just keeping you consistent. Let's go. 2, 3, 4, 5. Come on. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now we're going to do both. Hold on and let's go. 1, 2, closer, and then I'm gonna go over and back. Ready? And let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come on. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here we go. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Come on. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Let's turn it back sideways. And now we're gonna do like a jumping jack motion. Hold on, and let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Come on. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right. Our next one, we're gonna go 1. We're gonna alternate. Ready? Let's go. Come on, we're working those hips. We're working those lower abs. And we're getting that cardio in. I want y'all to keep this one going. Keep it going. Let's go. Come on, keep going. Let's go. We're gonna keep this one going. If you need to take a break, you take it and you get back in. Rest. All right. Now I want you to turn your box. Feet are over, and you're gonna come up and back down. All right, the box is just keeping you consistent in the details. Ready? Let's go. 1, hit them heels. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Come on. 8. Woo! Great job. Now, we're gonna hold the box, and I'm gonna go in front, and then I'm gonna bring it back side. Okay? Get in lined up, straight in front of the box. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Come on. 10. Whoa, I'm feeling that quad and I'm feeling them lower abs. You ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Come on. 4, 5, 6. Come on. 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Our next one. I want you to put both feet on the same side. Now we're really gonna get those side obliques, those hips, and those quads. You ready? On your toes. And let's go. I'm gonna put my arms in it. Okay, keep it going. If you need to take a break, like I said, and then just get back in. Wow, I'm really working those abs, because I'm about to get summer fine. I'm about to get summer ready. You ready? And stop. Woo! Now, this next one, we're just gonna do 5 of these. We're gonna come out straight, then wide. Ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Don't you touch that box. 4. One more. 5. Great job. Now, what I want to do is 1, 2, 1, 2. Ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 2. Okay, this next one. You ready? And let's go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Don't you touch that box. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And great. All right. I want you to take it out a little bit further. Straighten your leg out. And we're going to cross and come. I make sure this foot is straight at all times. You ready? If you want to hold on, you can. Let's go. Now we really engage those lower abs. We're getting those hip flexors, those inner thighs, outer thighs, and that high quad. Let's go. Come on. And those glutes engaged at all times. Come on, keep it going. I need you to keep this one going. And good. Switch legs. This foot is straight. On the heel, chest up, and let's go. Don't you bend that leg. Keep that quad engaged. And those lower abs and those side obliques are gonna go to work for you. Let's go. Come on. Come on. There we go. Come on. You should feel good because you're doing something good for your body. Let's go. And great. Whoa. That was sort of a tough workout, but it was really working on the details and working those lower abs and toning those quads and hips and side obliques. I'm Jay Lou, your fitness guru, and see you later. Bye.
Woo! J. Lou, the fitness guru from Atlanta. What an incredible workout. And you know, one of the most important things is go at your own pace. This is not a competition. J. Lou is giving you just great ways, simple ways on which to keep your body moving, in which to exercise those small muscles that are under the layers and layers. Excellent job, J. Lou. Thank you so very much. For those of you who are just joining, my name is Barbara Chandler. This is our 15th episode of Brain Info Live. Today's session is focusing on our caregivers during the holidays and how just to minimize their stress. We just had J. Lou. He gave us our workout, our 5-minute chair workout. It was probably a bit more than 5 minutes, but really, really good stuff. Coming up, we have a video clip with Bernice Osborne, who is a caregiver, and what it was like for her to first reach out, what it was like when she first reached out to a support group. Go ahead and run the clip.
Did you ever think about joining a support group?
Oh, yeah. Well, not at first. I didn't think I needed one.
Okay.
But the support group was my lifeline. It was my lifeline. I was encouraged to join the support group for a long time, many months. And it wasn't until Thanksgiving, and I can't remember the year, and I woke up, I was exhausted from preparing, the meal. And the next day on Thanksgiving, I remember waking up and like crying and sobbing and like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I just can't. And my husband was like, at the time said, you really should try to go to that support group. And I went, and the support group was, my lifeline, everything about it, he was my boyfriend at the time. But they really encouraged me and gave me so much support and so much strength. And in that support group, I was able to say things that I couldn't say to my family and my friends because they didn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it at the time, but I needed to know that there were other people who were going through what I went through. There were people in the group who were new to caregiving, who were in the middle of it, and they had people who were caring for someone that was, in end stage Alzheimer's. And I'll never forget, there was a woman whose mom had passed away, and she came and she said, I'm okay. I'm okay. Like, I'm sad, but I'm okay. And the way she said it just gave me such relief to know that maybe I can be okay when this journey is done.
Wow. Welcome back, everyone. As we saw a Bernice Osborne. That was Brain Info Live, the Boston show. And Bernice Osborne, who's a caregiver, and she was kind of telling us her story of what made her decide to join a support group. Joining us, we have Eileen Poiley. Eileen is the Director of Education at the USF Health Bird Alzheimer's Institute in Tampa and has been on the faculty at the university for over 30 years, specializing in Alzheimer's. She received her undergraduate degree from the University of Maryland and her graduate degree from Johns Hopkins University. She directs the Institute's education and training initiatives for caregivers, a very special subject, health professionals, as well as the community. She lectures extensively on a variety of topics pertaining to Alzheimer's disease and caregiver issues throughout Florida and nationally. She also produces, Eileen also produces the Institute's Caregiver podcast and conducts caregiver workshops and support groups. Welcome back, Eileen. Thank you so much for joining us. When we speak about caregivers in our community, this is a very important topic, and you are definitely the person in which to share as much information with us that we can be very mindful and supportive of caregivers. So thank you again for joining us.
Well, it's good to be back.
Yes, yes. So we do have some questions. We do have some questions here. We know that it's the
All right.
holidays, and this is a special time for everyone, and everyone, including our caregivers. So, with the holidays being a very stressful time, especially for dementia caregivers, in your experience, why is this the case?
That's a very good question. And I was thinking a lot about that and thinking of over the years dealing with caregivers. And the one word that I would say really expresses what I hear from caregivers, and I cared for both my parents as well with dementia, is a sense of loss. And what I mean by
Mm,
that is no matter what level you may have celebrated, some people go all out and have the big family, and some it's a very low key celebration. Whatever it is, it's not the same anymore.
right.
Depending on where your loved one is at. If your loved one is still in the earlier stages and fairly independent, then it's not quite the same. At this point, your stress level is still rising, but not to the same as the people that their loved one is pretty far along. And if you think about when I say loss, maybe you're not able to travel anymore and your loved one can't handle traveling, so you're not going to see the kids and the grandchildren. Maybe they're too busy, so they can't see you. So right there's the loss of spending it with family. A lot of
Right.
caregivers tell me they used to get invited to friends, Christmas parties, holiday parties. Sometimes they're no longer invited, or they know it's just so overwhelming that they know their loved one couldn't handle it, so they don't go. You used to
Mhm.
decorate the house, and maybe you were the one who did the inside, your husband was the one who put up the lights. Well, now he has Alzheimer's and he can't do it. So now you just say, well, I just don't even have the time, I'm so overwhelmed. So now you're not decorating the same. You used to have a tradition of exchanging gifts to each other, and now your loved one can't purchase anything. So there's a lot of changes and a lot of losses of what was to what is. And that can be very, very stressful and very sad for many caregivers to learn how to create a new way of enjoying the holidays, because some of those old ways are not still around. You still can't celebrate the same, and that produces some stress and some sadness.
Wow, wow, very understandable. Thank you, very understandable. What are some of the signs that a caregiver what are some signs that a caregiver is experiencing stress, anger, social isolation, which you just kind of mentioned, anxiety, and irritability?
Well, those are definitely common signs. And before I get into those signs, just to understand that everyone experiences their stress different. So there's not like one answer that's going to be for everybody. And as we know, this is a journey. When you're caring for someone with Alzheimer's, it's a journey. Some people, their journey is short. Some people, their journey is much longer. Some have help along the way, which can help take some of the stress. So everybody's stress level is different. Their loved one is different, what their loved one's journey is. So, this is definitely something that is not a one size fits all answer. But for the most part, most of the way people experience stress as caregivers experiencing stress, I would say the anxiety and depression are very common. The depression, and just sometimes it's just some sadness, it can elevate to a clinical depression or anxiety. Again, you are seeing your loved one go through this disease. You are experiencing changes in your life. You're overwhelmed with things to do and things you're not able to do anymore. And the joy in your life is changing. So there's definitely a lot of anxiety and depression. And that's even more so sometimes during the holiday. Anxious if you take your loved one to a family event, how they're going to act. If you go to the mall and it's overwhelming, how they're going to react. If family comes to town, how are they going to react? So there's a level of anxiety and then the level of depression. We see a lot of anger, and Bernice mentioned this, that you can say anything you want to other caregivers in a support group. People can be angry at the person with Alzheimer's, even though they know it's not their fault. Sometimes they can be angry at the disease. You're angry at Alzheimer's. Sometimes caregivers get angry at themselves. Oh, I can't believe I didn't see that coming. Or why did I say that to him that way? I was so, and they get mad at themselves. Sometimes, social isolation occurs, and that can be very upsetting during the holidays when you can't always go to the, neighborhood Christmas party, the family events, and so forth. Sometimes you just withdraw. You're so overwhelmed. Going to these things would be so difficult. You don't know if your husband or wife or whoever parent can handle it. So sometimes we do see a lot of withdrawal and social isolation, which coming out of COVID, that was a horrible experience of the isolation.
Absolutely.
And that continuing now, we are seeing how upsetting that can be. You mentioned irritability. That's definitely a stress. A lot of times caregivers will say that they're just not getting a lot of sleep. They have a to-do list that they can never get through it. They're just always irritable and frustrated. It's a level of frustration coming out. So these are just some of the signs. You see these throughout the whole caregiving experience, some more than others, some come and go. If you start to notice you're having a hard time calming yourself down, that's when you really need to seek some outlets for some help. And I'm sure we're going to get into that. So
Excellent. What I, as I'm listening to you and those feelings or emotions that you just expressed, imagine, I just see layers and multitudes of those, of caregivers experiencing any of those at any certain point. And then with holidays, and then one thing we know about the holidays, by the time October starts, you have
Yep.
the everything seems to come down at once. So that's a lot for someone who is caring as a caregiver to have to navigate, as well as even those of us who are not caregivers. So again, I think this is where we get to be very mindful and show compassion to those who are caregivers. So thank you for explaining that so very well. Strategies. What are some of the strategies that what strategies would you have for caregivers as ways to de-stress during the holidays or even outside of those?
I think there's several things. The first thing is, I can't stress enough in support of what Bernice said. Go to a support group. I've been doing a support group for over 20 years, and I can't tell you how many caregivers said they would have never been able to manage this journey without going to a support group. So that would be my first thing. Second is, this is a time of joy, this time of the year.
Yes.
From Thanksgiving, there's Christmas, there's Kwanzaa, there's Hanukkah, there's New Year's, there's just the beauty of the seasons changing. It's just a beautiful time of the year where everybody, there's so many, I'm sure I've missed some celebrations, but
Right.
every culture, religion is celebrating. And
That's right.
it's hard for caregivers to be able to incorporate some of that joy because, you know, already by the time they get to November, their to-do list is done. So now to say, well, just
That's
add
right.
on this and do more, they can't. So the
That's
first thing
right.
I would suggest is decrease your to-do list. You know what? If you normally change your sheets once every week or wash the floor once a day, I hear caregivers, oh, I have to dry the dishes. Why? They dry themselves if you don't. You know, you're going to have to
Right.
scale back some of your expectations. No one's going to know if you swept the floor once this week, seven
That's right.
times this week. You know, realize that you've got to give up a few things and try to add some joy. There's four
I love that.
areas that this season brings joy. One is the religious or the spiritual aspect. Every one of these holidays has a spiritual and religious component. For some, that's your area of joy. And you say, well, I
That's
can't
right.
go to church anymore. I can't go to synagogue. I can't go to temple. He won't sit there. Go to the church and see when the choir practices. Go to practice. Walk around. The building is going to be decorated in its Christmas glory. Go around. Go to some other places. I know there's a botanical garden here near in Largo in Florida, and they decorate it all in Christmas. And it's just a beautiful path with Christmas decorations. So, first thing is go to church, even if it's just to sit, read, listen to the choir practice. You're getting some of that religious thing. You can find out if there's services online, find out if there's groups that have prayer groups. Don't deprive your spiritual need. Find a
Right.
way to fulfill that, however small you need to do that. There's, you know, with the internet now, you can't say you can't find something online. It may not be the church you've grown up with. Find another one. Make that your thing for this year. I'm going to experience different services online and see what I enjoy. There's music for every holiday. Make sure you put that music on in your house. Music is not only relaxing, it's good for the brain, very good for the brain. You can put on music that is calming and very softer music in the evening that's more relaxing. I just went on YouTube and you can type in Christmas music sing along, and boy, everything comes up. And you can just, and I guarantee, even if your loved one is not very verbal, they will thoroughly enjoy it. I did a program in July, about an hour from here, and in the other room was like 25 individuals with Alzheimer's, and the caregivers were in the room with me. And the people in there watching the people with Alzheimer's were playing Christmas music, and we heard them singing and laughing. So make sure that the Christmas or whatever your holiday is, make sure there's music in the house. Cut back on the news through the entire month of December and November. It's just sad. If you're already having emotional issues and stress, take a break from all this news and increase your music. Hallmark Christmas shows, they couldn't be happier. You know, you have to try and replace some things with things that are going to bring you joy. Decorate, even if you can't decorate to the level that you used to. Find some decorations that bring you joy. Make decorations like you did 50 years ago. Think back, if you and your loved one in your 80s, you know, get some popcorn, string popcorn, you know, make paper chains. Do
That's
something
right.
that decorates your house. Be careful you don't decorate with things that are not safe. You know, you don't want to have plastic candy canes and edible candy canes, certain Christmas plants. You know, you have to kind of look to see what things are safe. You don't want them to eat something that they shouldn't eat or so forth, and not a lot of things that are with candles and so forth. But decorate, even if it's a low key decoration. Find some old decorations that have sentimental value. So when you look around your house, you have put things out of joy. There's the Kwanzaa, I don't know what it's called, the candelabra, there's the menorah, a Christmas tree. There's objects that you look at that mean something for the holidays. Display them. Don't keep them in the cabinet. So we have the religious aspect, the music, decorations. Last, every holiday, every culture has special foods. Don't deny yourself to make them. If you say, oh, he doesn't eat any of that, get some for yourself. Next time you go food shopping, buy yourself a little eggnog once in a while to treat yourself. We find that the old foods we grew up with maybe aren't quite as healthy, but they're the foods that comfort us. So do some surprise cooking for yourself and your loved one of something that maybe they have enjoyed in their youth, and see, they may remember it, they may not remember it, but sometimes you need to do what you need to do for the caregiver. The goal is see which one of these areas you can give yourself some holiday joy, and that will help decrease the stress a little bit. Joining that support group, and don't put yourself on such high standards. If you don't clean quite as much this month, the dust will wait. Deal with it in January.
Exactly. I love that, Eileen. Holiday joy. Find your joy. And you gave
Yep.
such great suggestions. I love the find where the lights are. We have Lou Gardens here, and I know that they do a light up celebration. Heritage Center does a light up Heritage Center, but I love even the ways in the homes in which you can do that. You said about stringing the popcorn, making those handmade crafts, or what do you call them? The strings.
Paper
So
chains. Yep.
the chains, those are
Yep.
always fun. And it's also a way just to also show your own self appreciation. And like, I love that. Enjoy the holiday eggnog. Bring the things that you enjoy around you. I love that. And that instantly
Caregivers always tell me
makes,
they don't have the time, and I realize your to-do list is always long. Maybe this is the
yes,
time of the year that you spend a little more money buying pre-made foods. You know, you can go into so
that's
many
right.
food stores now and have a section of pre-made. So instead of
That's
spending
right.
time cooking dinner tonight, you say, okay, this week I bought 2 pre-made meals, so I don't do any cooking today or cleaning. And that time that I just found, I just saved myself. I am going to put on a Christmas sing along on YouTube, and we're going to sit here and sing for an hour. You've got to
Love it.
create the time and put in that joy. It takes effort, but you have to do it.
Yes. Yeah. And caregivers have to know that they are so deserving of that. They're worthy of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And they
Yeah.
and not look at it as, oh, great, another thing to do. It's got to be looked at as, this is something that I need to add joy to both my life, to his or her
Yes.
life. And,
Yes.
this is the season of joy. And no matter what you
Yes.
celebrate, this is the season of
That's
joy.
right.
And
Excellent.
yeah, it doesn't have to be a lot. Find which of the things you liked and enjoy them.
Excellent. Ah, that's so good. Okay. So let's see. Is there a good way for caregivers to prepare other family members if there has been significant changes in the person living with dementia?
This is a very good question, and definitely, and don't wait until they're there, because that's going to be the problem. If you don't say anything and you say, well, hopefully he'll remember, or hopefully this, you need to prepare them. One, if it's an out of town family member, they may not recognize them. One thing
Mm.
I would suggest is when your out of town family come, you don't wait to see if your dad recognizes their other their other kids that are out of town, or their other grandchildren. You immediately introduce them. Oh, look, here's your wonderful daughter Barbara came to visit. Isn't it nice to have Barbara with us? You're not waiting to see if dad knew who Barbara was. You are
Right.
immediately, and every time they come over, oh, dad, look at that. Barbara came to visit us. We're so lucky she's here. because chances are they may not recognize them. The thing you need to tell family members in advance is one, you need to explain to them where mom, dad, whatever, whoever this may be. It may be a sibling, it could be a parent, a family member, friend, whatever. They need to be fully aware, what things overwhelm them. Like, don't ask a zillion questions. Here's some of the things that dad likes to talk about. Giving them information on how to communicate with someone with Alzheimer's is really important. That's what most people don't know how to do. Most of the time,
Mm.
conversations involve a lot of questions. So, Dad, what have you and Mom been doing lately? Did you go look at those lights? Remember that one church that always had those decorations? Did you go to the stadium where they have the big Christmas thing? Questions and questions and questions. So the key is to explain to them how to talk to someone with Alzheimer's. We have information on communication on our website. You may want to find several of those podcasts and say, look, go on this website. Here's the podcast on how to communicate with someone. Make sure that they understand so they feel competent. They want to feel when they come to
Yes.
visit that they can interact in a positive way. So you're
Yes.
helping empower them so their visit is good for them as well as good for the person who has Alzheimer's. So you need to explain to them how to communicate, explain to them that dad or mom or whoever lives in the moment. So you may come
Mm.
over, maybe at this point, mom is in an assisted living, or maybe mom is still home. The families is staying at a hotel. They come in from out of town. They come over. We have a lovely visit. They're laughing, interacting. We have a lovely lunch. It couldn't have gone better. They go back to the
Right.
hotel. They come over the next morning, and dad looks at them and says, "When'd you get here?" And they're all upset because they just had this wonderful visit yesterday. So again, explaining we live in the moment. We make each moment special, each moment wonderful, and dad or mom or whoever may not save that memory, but our goal is to make the moments better, not the memories, the moments. So I think if you
Wow.
give the family member some understanding of how to communicate, what to expect. Dad's going to say things that may be unusual. Don't say, Dad, you already asked me that. You have to tell them how to respond, what not to do to get the person with Alzheimer's upset. So I really encourage caregivers, if they don't want to be the one teaching their loved one because they say, well, my siblings may not take it from me. They think they know. And they say, oh, dad's fine. I talked to him on the phone. Say to them, I was advised to listen to this episode on this podcast on communication. I'm going to listen to it. And they said that they really recommend all the families to listen to it. Put the blame on us, put the,
Right.
not blame, but put the guy. So that
Yes.
way we are, or someone else is giving them that information. But you really want to make sure that they are aware. I would also be very careful with emails. If you're going to send an email, make sure there's no emotion in that email. An email can be a very good use for facts. Here's an email just saying, I just wanted to update everyone before the visit. Here's some of the things that we're noticing with mom. She has a hard time answering open-ended questions. What do you want to do today, mom? Where do you want to go? She does very well with multiple choice questions. Mom, would you like some coffee or would you like water? Rather than what would you like to drink? So very simple. Here's where we are with mom as far as these kind of communications. If you see mom gets anxious, she loves looking outside and sitting on the patio. She loves singing Christmas songs. Make it very short, very simple, not that you're trying to tell them what they do is wrong, but education ahead of time, I can only tell you, will make the time that they're visiting better for your loved ones that are visiting and for your loved one with Alzheimer's. So it's really
Wow.
important to do that education ahead of time.
Wow, wow, that's excellent. For those of you who may be just joining us, we are here with Eileen Poiley. Eileen Poiley is the Director of Education with USF Health Bird Alzheimer's Institute in Tampa. And she has just given us some amazing ways in which to communicate with family members that may be coming over and they are unaware of how to engage with the person living with dementia. As the caregiver, this session has been focused on ways in which to de-stress our caregivers. One of the things that sticks out for me is make that moment special. The person living with Alzheimer's is in the moment. Keep it simple, meet them where they are. Make this a joyous occasion as the caregiver, also making sure that the communicate ahead of time before family members show up, before friends show up, they know how to communicate with the individual. So that person also has a really good experience when they're there at the celebration. Excellent information. Um, Again, let's see, we have time for a couple more. Um, this one says, you have worked with caregivers for over 30 years. What resources would you recommend for caregivers on a dementia journey? I know that you have tons of resources out of your organization. How do we access those?
Well, if you go on our website, and I think she has the link for our podcast, but you can just Google the Bird Institute at USF, and it's BYRD, Bird Institute. We have a podcast with over about 80 some episodes right now on very, very practical information, not the theory and biology of the disease. When my mother says this, what do I do? How do I do this particular, deal with this particular problem? So we also have a episode on the holidays, which will provide even more details than what we're able to cover in today's episode. So I encourage you to go on that. There's information on caregiving, on communication. So really some good things. One of the topics, I happen to know that a support group was featuring that as their topic for their one of their meetings was on, pick your battles, learning what things are worth just picking and learning what things are just let it go. As far as other resources, I think the best resource, again, and we can't emphasize this enough, and that's obviously why the clip that you showed was the perfect clip, was the support group. And a lot of people say, oh, I'm not into going and sitting around and everyone's sitting in there and just complaining about their problems. That's going to make it worse for me. And then I'm going to be thinking about all the other things that are going to come up. It sounds like that's what it would be. And I have a caregiver who I've tried to get to come to the support group, but if I'm just sitting there and listening to all the problems that I'm going to eventually deal with, how is that going to help me? I can't explain it to you enough, but it will. The one thing Bernice said, which I think is critical, your family and your friends are there, and yes, they love you dearly. And unless they're living your experience day to day, there's still going to be things that they may not be able to relate to the same as other caregivers. That phrase, don't until you walk in another man's shoes. Well, if you go to a support group, these people are walking in your shoes. And many of them may have problems in this area. Oh, my husband just won't do this. Oh, well, mine won't do this. And then they both say, okay, well, how about we switch for a while and you deal with that problem and I'll deal with your problem. There's laughter, there's tears, there's support, there's camaraderie. Someone's placing their loved one and moving them to a long-term care facility the next month. Everyone's like, oh, how'd it go? How are you holding up? There's also a wonderful feature. People ask if I do a support group for like people first diagnosed and then people that are further along. And the reason I don't is one of the things that I have found is the people that are at the later stage or the end of the journey, you would say, why are they still coming? What are they still learning at this point? You know why they're coming? Because as horrible as this disease is, they're now in a position to help others. They've walked
That's right.
through this journey.
That's right.
They know they've learned in year 4, and they say, oh, if I only knew the things that you've been teaching us, 3 years prior. Now when someone gets on and they said they're new to the group, because every month we have someone new to the group, there's always new people joining, and I see the people who've been doing it for years become teachers. They are
Yes.
helping other people through this journey, and nothing gives these people more satisfaction is to know that they are now, that this journey that they've been on, as sad as it's been, has enabled them to turn around and help others. I can't tell you enough. And if you've gone to one support group and you say, oh, it was absolutely a waste of time, then maybe that was just not the support group for you. I have spoken at numerous support groups. Some are very educational. Some bring in a speaker for every time, and it's not really a conversation amongst each others. Some, it's a group that they've been meeting maybe just as 10 people for years and years, and they're just their own little group, and you feel like an outsider. Ours is just a wonderful group. You're welcome to join. We meet tomorrow on Zoom. Feel free to contact me. We have people from all over because it's on Zoom. So that's definitely the first resource that I encourage caregivers. The second one is you've got to learn about the disease. You can't
Right.
deal with something you don't truly
Mhm.
understand. If you get angry at your loved one because they keep asking you the same question, that means you haven't done your homework. If you had a friend come over and they have on a cast and crutches, you know for a fact they just broke their leg. I understand what that means. I'm not going to ask them to go on a hike because you know what it is. If you have a friend who's diabetic and you are invited to their house, you're not going to bring a tray of sweets because you know they can't eat sugar, because you know these basic things. You need to
That's right.
understand what Alzheimer's and other dementia, what does that really mean? What are the cognitive losses? What does that mean
Mm.
when they do some of these behaviors? So the more I see caregivers learn and understand, oh, so that's why my mother is doing that, because she doesn't have processing speed. So whenever we're all sitting at a table, I was always wondering why she stopped talking, because she can't process the conversation so fast. So it's not that she doesn't like these people. Processing speed is a cognitive loss. She can't process as fast as we all talk. So she literally can't comprehend any of this entire conversation. So she's going to sit there in silence. Now it makes sense.
That's right.
Now I understand why mom can have a wonderful afternoon with the family and the next day she has no clue that they're in town. Now I understand. She can't save any short-term memory anymore. So even though she had a wonderful evening, the next day it's like it never happened. So once you start understanding this disease, then the behaviors start to make more sense. And you say to yourself, oh, now I get it. I understand why mom couldn't go in there and get dressed, because she doesn't have decision making skills. She doesn't
Correct.
remember where we're going, so she doesn't know what to put on. She can't look outside and see that it's winter and snowy. She needs to put on winter clothes. Oh, I understand now, because now I know she has problem solving skills, decision making, judgment. The more you learn, the better it makes you as a caregiver. So that's something that's whatever your resource to learn. Alzheimer's Association, Alzheimer's Foundation of America. There's the Lewy Body Dementia Association. Depending on what your loved one has, you need to learn from reputable sources, and don't try and learn A through Z, because that's overwhelming. Do a little at a time. If you're noticing, hey, you know what? I'm really having a hard time communicating. I'm going to learn about communication. My loved one just doesn't want to take a bath anymore. That's common. I'm going to learn about hygiene and bathing. Pick your little things at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself and try and learn everything. Go on these sites and just learn as you need. But the more you learn for anything, the better you're prepared.
Wow. Eileen Poiley, excellent. I heard so many nuggets. I love the fact when you mentioned about those support groups and how some of the people who have attended support groups, they come back and in turn they are there for other people who are going through.
Yep.
I think I call that leadership 101. I think that is the
Yep.
most empowering way to use information and knowledge and just your own personal experience. And communication, one of the big things you talked about, communication, education, knowing more about the disease so you can understand what the person who is living with the disease, why their behaviors are now explainable. And that as a caregiver, that's empowering because your responses or your reactions becomes responses. You're not reacting to what they're doing, but now you can understand why they're doing it and your response changes. This is just excellent conversation. I want to thank you so much. I've learned so much in this particular segment. And one of the things you mentioned, I'm sorry, you want to add, please?
I just wanted to add one little thing for the
Please.
holiday season is for two things: be flexible and expect the unexpected. Be flexible. Your plans may have been set, but may not wake up and they may not be able to happen. They may, you may have to be flexible because you're dealing with someone with Alzheimer's. Expect the unexpected and go with the flow. You ask your father, the patriarch of the family, to say the blessing over Christmas dinner, and he starts to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Join in.
That's
Then,
right.
if you want a real
That's
prayer
right.
of the meal, say, "That was beautiful, Dad. Would anyone else like to say a prayer?" So, flexibility and expect the unexpected. And don't forget to add some joy to your days.
Excellent. Excellent. Flexibility, add some joy, and expect the unexpected.
Expected.
It's almost like it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be
Right.
memorable. It needs to be in that moment. So thank you.
Yep.
I totally get it. What a way to live. What a way to live. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you so much, Eileen. And again, Eileen, this is your third time joining us. And you always give us so much practical information that's implementable. So thank you so much. And have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. And we thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Happy holidays to you.
Absolutely. All the best. All righty. All right. We just heard from Eileen Poiley. What an amazing wealth of knowledge and information that she shared with us in helping the caregiver to de stress. And she wrapped it up nicely in a bow, no pun intended. She said, joy, find ways in which caregivers can bring themselves joy. Also, she talked about expect the unexpected. It does not have to be perfect. In the moment, if you decide to sing a Christmas carol and your loved one with Alzheimer's or dementia decides to say sing something else, the Pledge of Allegiance, make that moment count. Make that moment count. And then she also said, "Is be flexible, be prepared for the unexpected and find ways to bring joy." I love that. Find ways to bring yourself joy, whether it's doing the sing alongs, putting on music, going to place where there's lights, doing minimal decorations, leaving the chores for another day. I just find all those ways very practical in navigating ways to de-stress during the holidays, preparing your family and your loved ones when they come over on how to engage with the family member or friend living with all that Alzheimer's dementia. Wonderful information. Wonderful. Alrighty. All right. And there are support groups. Support groups. She talked about that immensely. Being connected to other people who are relatable, who can give you suggestions, who can give you recommendations, and just building a support network around you. We're going to add the support group resources to the emails, including Eileen's email and the phone number. So you're going to see that. Alrighty, so as always, it is time for our poll. And we always say this is not a test. This is just to see that we are retaining all this great information that we are gaining. Alrighty, so our poll today, the question is, which of the following is not a sign that a caregiver may be experiencing stress? Which of the following is not a sign that a caregiver may be experiencing stress? They are irritable. They have a lot of anxiety. They want to be around other people. They are depressed. Okay? Again, from Brain Info Live, which of the following is not a sign that a caregiver may be experiencing stress? They are irritable. They have a lot of anxiety. They want to be around other people. They are depressed. All right. And the answer is C. The answer is C. Dementia caregivers who are stressed and burnout can experience social withdrawal. It is imperative for caregivers to take care of themselves, find joy. I love that. Find joy. And they should be doing so by reaching out. By reaching out to other family members, other support groups, and other support groups as well, other organizations in which to just find other ways in which to get through the holidays. The holidays are very, very special to every one of us, and we want everyone in our community to be healthy and be able to enjoy them as well. We do have the resources. There's national and local resources. We're going to bring those slides up. Alexa will share those. Along with those resources, of course, the email. For everyone who signs up, we will be able to, you'll be able to receive Brain Info Live emails. You can do so by going to the site. We always say grab something to write with, a pen, and you can write down BIT, there it is, bit.ly, Brain Info Live, BIL, sign up. This is the way to get on the mailing list, get the resources. You know me, I always feel like arming ourselves with resources is one of the most proactive things that we can do. We do not have to wait until anything happens. We can have resources. There's always someone in our community who may need them. So at least this way you have something and we're not waiting until that moment happens. We want to thank everyone who has joined us. Jay Lou, our fitness guru, with a 5-minute chair exercise. We want to thank Eileen Poiley with USF Health Bird Institute over in Tampa, Florida. And we want to thank you, of course, for those of you who are continue to join us. We want to thank the entire Brain Info Live team for these great workshops or live informative videos that we're able to conduct. As I always say, that while the holidays mean different things to every one of us, whether it be Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, what we do know is that family means everything to all of us. So thank you so much. This has been the 15th episode of Brain Info Live. My name is Barbara Chandler, and we look forward to seeing you in 2023, the new year. We're going to continue to bring you informative resources, informative discussions that can help navigate you in your journey. Thank you so much, and happy holidays.
you.